Hi everyone! Thanks for visiting my channel. I hope you all are having a great day and enjoying your summer. And speaking of summer, we are in the midst of peach season. Last week we did can up some beautiful peaches, so yummy. And this week I thought we would do some peach salsa. In particular, we are going to be canning fiery peach salsa from the All New Bob Book of Canning. If you do not have this book in your canning library, I highly recommend it. I've canned a number of recipes out of here and it is fantastic. New twists on some old favorites and just some really yummy stuff in here. So today we're going to be doing the fiery peach salsa. By the way, if you are new here, my name is Carol. I'm the Thrifty Chic Housewife. If you enjoy the content you find here, please consider subscribing. Like and share my videos and follow me on social media. I will leave all the links in the description box below, especially if you enjoy Facebook. I am pretty active over there on my page and I encourage you to come on over and join the fun that we're having there. So anyway, back to the fiery peach salsa. So just a quick word on salsas, and I'm going to leave a link for you in the description box below my video regarding salsas. Lots of people like to tweak things and make it their own or use their own recipes. I don't recommend that you do that, and the experts don't recommend that you do that. So I'm gonna leave a link for you as to why. We are gonna be water bath or steam canning. In my case, I'm gonna be steam canning. For those of you who've been around my channel very long, you know that I love steam canning, but this recipe can also be water bath canned. But we are including some low acid foods, but they're keeping a balance between acid and non-acid. And this recipe was tested, so it's important that you stick to the recipe and that you do not adjust your amounts. You can leave things out. For example, this recipe does call for 1 habanero pepper, seeded and minced. I'm going to leave that out. It also has jalapenos in it, and jalapenos are about as hot as much heat as I like, so we're going to leave that out. But please do not add more. Stick to the amounts that are written in this recipe. It is tested as written. The other thing I wanted to point out, that this is canned in half-pint jars or the 8-ounce jelly jars. So please do not can this in pints or quarts or anything else. Stick to the half-pint 8-ounce jars. That's the way it was written and tested, and so we need to be safe and make sure that we are following those instructions. So this recipe should make about 7 half-pint jars according to Ball. The other thing that I wanted to point out in this is this recipe allows for you to use, it calls for lime juice, and it allows you to use fresh lime juice. Oftentimes, most of the time, when acid is called for when it comes to lemon or lime, most of the time it is bottled, but this recipe does leave allowance for using fresh. So I'm going to be using fresh. If you don't have fresh, you can always defer to bottled, but in this case we can use fresh, and anytime I can use fresh, I do. But just know that that's usually an exception to the rule. So we're going to be using that. It's about the juice of 3 limes approximately. The other thing, it calls for apple cider vinegar. With any vinegar in canning, you need to check the label and make sure that it is 5% acidity. So those are a couple things I wanted to point out. We're going to be using 6 cups of peeled and diced hard underripe peaches. So not juicy ripe peaches that you would eat. These we want to be hard and underripe. We need about 6 cups. We need a cup of sugar. We need one cup of red bell pepper. Now this is also where you could change things up a little bit if you want to. It is safe to substitute a different pepper if you prefer, but stick to the 1 cup. I did use the red. That's going to be so pretty against the orange peaches. And then we have 2 jalapenos seeded and finely chopped. It does not give an exact amount, it just says 2, so I just used 2. It also has a half a cup of red onion in it, so that also, you could switch out another onion if you want to. Stick to the half a cup. I said the lime juice, a tiny bit of salt, the jalapenos, 2 garlic cloves minced, and then 1 habanero pepper, which I'm going to leave out if you groove on heat and you want to include it, feel free to include it. It just says 1. It does not actually give you exact measurements. And then the last thing we're going to stir in at the end is a 1/4 cup of fresh chopped cilantro. So this recipe looks so pretty. I'm so excited to do this. I've been wanting to do this recipe, and now we have the opportunity. And it says that it pairs really well with pork and seafood tacos. You guys, I thought this would be fantastic with the barbecue pulled pork. I did a video on that, and I will link it for you with an iCard and also in the description box, because I think that would be delicious, make delicious nachos or even a taco. But pull out a jar of your barbecued pulled pork, some ooey gooey cheese, and top it with this delicious salsa. So this is a really simple thing. The hardest part was prepping everything and doing all the chopping. And I've got that all done. We're all set. All we have to do is throw everything together with the exception of the cilantro, and we're going to bring it up to a boil, and we're going to simmer it uncovered for 5 minutes, and then we are all ready to go. So I recommend that when you start this recipe, you go ahead and you have your canner ready. I've washed my jars and set them aside. They are in a sink full of hot water. You want to make sure you use hot jars. Your lids, you do not need to pre-sterilize jars and lids. Modern canning guidelines state you do not need to do that if you're going to be canning for 10 minutes or more, and we are. Our processing time is going to be 10 minutes. So let's get started. Okay guys, here we go. Got 6 cups of diced hard underripe peaches. You want to make sure that you peel them, give them a good dice. We need 1 cup of our red bell pepper. This looks pretty already. That orange and peach together is just beautiful. 2 jalapenos, 2 cloves of garlic, minced or chopped finely. A 1/2 cup of chopped red onion. We are going to be adding 1 cup of granulated sugar. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Well, anytime I'm canning, I always use canning and pickling salt. We have 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lime juice, and then a 1/2 cup of water. And then last but not least, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. We're going to go ahead and give that a stir. Pretty easy, huh? Okay, we're gonna bring that up to a boil and then let it simmer for 5 minutes on a medium heat. Okay guys, I had to bring you in close so you could see how beautiful this is. Look at those gorgeous colors going on. We are up to our simmer, so we're going to go ahead and simmer 5 minutes, and then we're going to remove it from the heat and stir in our cilantro, and then we are all set for canning. So simple. Okay guys, we are all set for canning. I already talked about washing your jars and all that. No need to pre-sterilize, and make sure your lids are clean and they're ready to go. Now that we've simmered our salsa for the 5 minutes, we need to add our cilantro. It says to do that after you remove it from the heat. So we can go ahead and stir in our cilantro. Isn't this just a beautiful salsa? I'm so excited to have it on my shelf. So pretty and so yummy. Okay, so we are all set to go. We are looking for 1/2 inch headspace. Let's grab a couple of jars. These are the half-pint jars by Kerr. I thought that they would be really pretty in these, and they would be great for serving. They're a nice size to put in the middle of chips or something like that. So, all right. Ladle this in, and like I said, we're looking for 1/2 inch of headspace. Okay, once you get to your 1/2 inch headspace, you're going to use a debubbling tool, a chopstick, or a plastic butter knife and remove your air bubbles. Just poke around your jar and release the bubbles. And if your headspace changes, you can go ahead and add more. Oftentimes when you debubble, it will change a little bit. All right, once you have the correct headspace, I like to take a paper towel dipped in white vinegar to clean my rims. It's not necessary, but it helps to keep it nice and clean, remove anything that would interfere with a good seal. Or you can just use a wet washcloth. Anything nice and clean. Just make sure your rim doesn't have anything on it. So then you're going to center your lid and then apply your bands to fingertip tight. Like I said, I'm going to be steam canning. So I have 3 quarts of simmering water in the bottom of my canner along with my rack. If you are water bath canning, you want to have your rack in there and you want your canner to be approximately half full of simmering water. So we can go ahead and put our jars in. And get 2 more. Okay guys, I got exactly 7 half-pint jars, so that recipe was right on the money for me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to crank up the heat. I'm going to put my lid on. Okay, like I said, I am steam canning, so I am going to be using my dial gauge that's on my steam canner to tell when I am up to temperature. My water should also be boiling in the bottom of my canner, and there should be a steady stream of steam 4 to 6 inches long coming out of my steam vents for steam canning. So for those of you who are concerned about the dial gauge, that's a good check and balance to make sure your water's boiling in the bottom and you have steam coming out of your steam vents. If you're a water bath canning, you want to make sure that water covers your jars by at least an inch, and you want to bring it up to a full boil. Once you are at a full boil, you can start your processing time. We will be processing for 10 minutes. Okay, we are up to temperature. Like I said, for steam canning, you want a steady stream of steam coming out of your vents, approximately 4 to 6 inches long, and your water in the bottom of your canner should be boiling. If you're a water bath canning, you should be at a full boil. So we can go ahead and set our timer for 10 minutes. You also want to slowly adjust your heat so that it's not vigorously boiling too hard the whole time you're processing. So slowly adjust your heat just so you are maintaining a full boil if you're water bath canning, and just so you are either in your green go zone or you're maintaining a steady stream of steam coming out of your steam vents. So after our 10 minutes are up, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, our processing time is up, so we can go ahead and turn off our heat. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the lid off of your canner. Just make sure that you tilt the lid away from you so that you don't get burned or give yourself a steam facial accidentally. If you are water bath canning, you want to let your jars sit for 5 minutes before you remove them. If you are steam canning, there's no need to wait the 5 minutes. You can. It doesn't hurt anything, but you don't have to if you're steam canning. So we're going to go ahead and take a peek at our jars. When you set them out, make sure you give them enough room around them to cool adequately. Take a look at how pretty. There we go. How pretty is that? All those beautiful colors, that beautiful orange from the peaches, the red from the red pepper, the green from the peppers, and then the beautiful red onion. So good. I'm really anxious to give this a try. I did taste it and it is really delicious. Obviously, anytime you pickle something, it tastes better after you let it sit for a couple of weeks. But I did have a tiny bit left in the bottom of my pot, so I went ahead and tasted it. I'll give you, obviously this is not canned, so it has a little more color to it, I think, but it is going to be liquidy there's not much pectin in peaches, so that's not going to change. But it is really pretty and it is quite tasty. Now for me, the jalapenos are plenty of heat. I don't like anything hotter than that. If you groove on heat, make sure you add the habanero pepper. It's just too hot for me and I don't enjoy that flavor. So, but this was so easy to do. So I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. If you have any comments or questions, leave them for me in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.